Hi guys, let's get into another autoimmune question that I hear a lot of, and that is, there's two ways to phrase this. How strict do I need to be? And what if I just have a little bit of gluten or dairy or eggs? Insert food of choice here. So what's going to happen? Like, what's the worst that could happen, right? Bad stuff. So not to be the bearer of bad news, but hey, that's why you're watching these videos, is um, to learn what's going on. So here's here's the thing is if you have a reaction against a food, so let's say gluten, that's a low-hanging fruit. Practically every autoimmune person reacts to gluten in some way. So you're reactive to gluten, but you really want to have that bagel when you visit relatives in New York, or you really want to have, pizza when you go visit family wherever. Or there's a donut place around the corner and you just want one donut a month and that is your vice. Well, that could be a really bad thing to do. And here's the reasoning behind this is that the expectation when people bring up this question and ask this, or when it comes up on forums of, well, how strict do I need to be? What's the worst that could happen? What they're really trying to assess is, okay, let's say I'm at this baseline of like mediocrity. I don't feel great, but I don't feel terrible. And let's say this person has, rheumatoid arthritis. Let's say my joints kind of hurt a bit every day, and here's where I'm at. And then I might have a flare where they hurt more because I ate some gluten, but then after a day or two, I'm going to get right back to my normal, my current baseline, and everyone, no harm, no foul, whatever. But that's not actually what happens. What you're risking is you already have one immune cell or a clone of cells or a population of them. You have this population of cells that are interested in self tissue, that are interested, in this case, in your joints. And they're already attacking that and enticed by that. If you feed them more inflammation and more reason to get turned on and do inflammatory stuff, and if you make that nice inflammatory soup in your body for them, then what you risk is that another type of cell might come along and say, hey, here's this other thing, let's attack that. And you then have either a worsening of autoimmunity. So let's say, you're reacting to one protein on your joint lining, and then another cell decides to take interest in another type of protein. So in that case, you would have a worsening of the rheumatoid arthritis, worsening of the primary condition. The other risk that could also happen is there's more inflammation, more tissue damage, and now your immune system sees something completely new and wants to react to it. So, okay, you have rheumatoid arthritis, you have that once a month bagel or whatever it might be, and then a time or two later, your immune system decides that your thyroid looks really neat and yummy and starts going after it. This whole concept of another immune cell becoming interested in another tissue is called epitope spreading. And it's a very dangerous roller coaster to try to ride out, and it's a little bit of a game of Russian roulette. There's never 100% certainty that that's going to happen. So theoretically, you might be able to get away with the one bagel, but you might not. And if you don't, what you're risking is, rather than being at baseline, worse for a little while, back to baseline, you could go baseline, worse, new crappier baseline, and then the progression keeps going from there. So epitope spreading is the simple two-word answer to this question of why, when you cut out a food that you're reacting to, you really need to be spot on, super strict. And there's really not a lot else I can do to tell you that's going to make that better. You just need to be diligent and strict about it. But that is the answer to that question, and I'll see you in the next one.